Hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. It's Tuesday, so Tag Tuesday, so I got a tag for you. I got the TBR Tag. I originally saw this at Emma at a couple books. I'll leave the link to her video down below. The original was done, I believe, by Rachel at A Perfection Called Books, but according to Emma's, there was no video available, and I went back to Britta's channel and she had a link to a blog. I couldn't get on it because I didn't have access to the blog, so I'm wondering if the questions were actually on the blog. But anyway, regardless, I saw it on Emma's channel, and so I'm gonna do this tag. And again, the TBR tag. So here we go. First question: how do you keep track of your TBR pile? So, there's many different ways to keep track of TBR piles. I'm a man of lists, and I've got various lists sitting, in notebooks on my computer, stuff like that. That is one way that I have kept track of my TBRs. And recently, since I started BookTube, like I made my 2020 reading list that I wanted to do. That was it may have been my first video, and since I did that, I can always go back and rewatch my video to, oh yeah, I got to get that book read. There's always different ways of keeping track. For me, the most current books that I am reading in my TBR pile, I have sitting in a little closet here. There's a little bookshelf, and I keep those stacked up on there because my wife doesn't like books stacked up in front on this bookshelf. She wants these, since it's pretty close to the front door, she wants it kept clean looking and not bunches and bunches of books stacked and stuffed. And like, I'm gonna get in trouble for this one right here, this one going sideways. I'm gonna have to put that one away sometime. And anyway, so I've got a stack of TBRs sitting right there that I'm currently working on. So overall, on my computer, I have a master list of all of my nonfiction books that I own, and I have them alphabetical by author. And I consider all of my books that I buy to be on my TBR list. I don't buy them unless I intend to read them, and so if you want to talk, overall, that's my master TBR list. I do plan on eventually, before I die, hopefully, before I die, I'm going to have them all read. And so I keep track of them on a master list, and it's kind of cool because you can do bullets and image bullets. And so on the ones I haven't read, I've got an empty box. And then on the ones, once I've read them, that empty box, you can click another image that has a check mark. And so that's another way that I keep track of them. Let's see here. Question number 2, prompt number 2. Is your TBR mostly print or ebook? Okay, so for me, this is pretty easy because I don't like ebooks. I just don't like reading off of a device, so I like the hard copy. And so most of mine, or all of mine, is print books. Now, I do have one that I download. Well, I have a handful of them that I found, like classics, that I downloaded to my phone, because every once in a while I sit in the car while my wife goes shopping, and sometimes a 5-minute trip turns into an hour-and-a-half trip. And if you've ever sat in the car for that long, that's a long time. And so I put some of those on my phone so that I have access to those on my ebooks on my phone. And so I do have a couple, but I haven't gotten very far, because I don't really read them. And now that school started, I don't go shopping with my wife all that much either. So anyway, next question. How do you determine which book from your TBR to read next? So, there is a lot of things that can go into consideration here. I know many of you lead busy lives, and my life and my job, they kind of determine a lot of what my next read's going to be. So, it depends on what's going on in life. Sometimes when stuff starts to get hectic, at school. My big, thick nonfictions that are pretty dense readings, I slow down on those and I move more towards either lighter nonfiction or I read fiction, just to keep my reading life alive. But it's easier, not as taxing, and I always feel that I want to keep going in my reading. I don't want to read 2 pages and be done. And so when I read the fiction books, usually I can cover a lot more ground than I can with my nonfiction. And if I've got a big, thick, heavy, dense nonfiction and I'm not moving along, it feels like I get bogged down. I get not depressed, I don't want to say that, but disappointed in myself. I've been that way with that volume 3 of the Stephen Ambrose Nixon trilogy. I've been trying to read it. It's really good. It's very interesting, but I just can't seem to get it done because life pops up. But that can play a role in it. What I'm covering in class at that time. So I usually try to read books that go with the theme of like right now we're early American history, and so I was thinking about cracking open Stacy Schiff's The Witches, which is on the Salem witch trials of 1692, and we're going to be covering that here in the next week or so, or maybe next couple days. And so I'm probably going to dig that out just because that's what we're covering in class, and I've been wanting to read it anyway. Let's see. Depends on how much time I have. I kind of talked about that. Am I in a reading slump or am I in the groove? If I'm in the groove, I can read those big, thick, dense books and get going. Especially if I've had a few smaller nonfictions and they kind of get me going, and then I can get into the thicker ones. But if I'm in a reading slump, like I said, I'll go towards my fiction side of things. I got fiction books upstairs that I haven't read. I got way more nonfiction, but I do have fiction up there that I haven't read, that I've had sitting on the shelves for a while that I need to get read. And then, when I have a decent collection, when I was trying to decide how do I read them all, because I do want to read them all. My oldest daughter came up with the idea, why don't you just, you've got an alphabetical list, just go in alphabetical order. Read them all from top to bottom. And so when I get kind of in one of those deals where I don't really know what book I want to go next, read next, or if it's over the summer and I'm not teaching topics in school, I'll go back to that alphabetical list and I'll go through the A's. And I've been working on the A's forever, it seems like. I got a lot of books with A authors, but so that's why I've been reading Stephen Ambrose, although it does go with stuff we teach in class. But anyway, we go in alphabetical order, and that seems to be getting me to actually read them and not just have them sit on the shelf. All right, next question. A book that's been on your TBR list the longest. My current TBR list would probably be that book I'm reading right now, that 3rd volume, Nixon, Ruin and Recovery. And I think it's 1972 to 1990, I think is the years that it covers, by Stephen Ambrose. And it's been on my list for, let's see, I think I've had them for 5 years. And a couple years ago, I started reading one each summer, so I'm on that 3rd volume. And so that one's been on there on my recent TBR list. That one's been on there for a while. And then the other one, one of the other ones that I've been thinking about, I've owned it for a long time. And I bought it early on when I was teaching. I bet it was 15, 16 years ago I bought the book, and it was 1915, The Death of Innocence by Lynn MacDonald. And it's about World War I. Looks super interesting. I love the cover. The cover drew me in, and I bought it at maybe Borders. I can't remember when Borders was still around, and I got that, and I put it off. I don't know why I put it off. That might end up bringing that downstairs just to make a point of getting it read. But it's been on my list, on the big list, for probably 15, 16 years. Next question. a book you recently added to your TBR list. And these I just added this week. I read, if you've been following the channel, I read Jason Reynolds' book, Ghost, about a middle school track runner who goes through a lot of problems in life with his financial, his mom. He lives with just his mom, and they're poor, and they have some bad circumstances that they're living in. Not necessarily because they chose that, but because his father was an alcoholic, drunk, abusive, and stuff like that, and so they had to leave and get away from him. Anyway, absolutely love that book. Go check out my book review that I did a couple days ago. But recently added was book 2 in this series, Patina, and book 3 in this series, Sunny. And like I said, they're for middle school kids, but I teach middle school, and just because they're for middle school kids doesn't mean they're not any good. It was an excellent book, and so I look forward to those. Those are the most recent ones that I've put on there. Next question: a book in your TBR strictly because of its beautiful cover. I grabbed a couple of these. The first one was The Witches of Salem. Let me grab it. And I saw this at, I think it was Target was the first place. And I don't know what it was about the cover, but the cover just kind of, it grabbed me. And, it's got the girls looking around all mysterious and looking like they're guilty of something. And it's all about the witches and stuff, and it just grabbed my attention. I don't know how else to explain that, but here's a couple others. This Sidney Blumenthal's Abraham Lincoln books. They are just super cool. They look cool on the shelf with the way the spines look. All of the covers just look really nice and neat, and they spoke to me. And then here's another one from a TBR list. The Hemmingses of Monticello, An American Family by Annette Gordon Reed, and that is just an awesome cover. It's got Monticello in the background, and so those are some books that the covers caught my attention and got themselves put on the TBR list. So a book on your TBR that you never plan on reading. So none. I plan on reading every book that I buy. I don't buy them just to buy them. That would be a waste of money. I don't have enough money to waste. So when I buy them, I do plan on reading them. I'm not a collector just to collect, although I sometimes wonder. My wife definitely wonders. And yeah, anyway. So next question: an unpublished book on your TBR that you're excited for. I have none. I haven't. I don't know about the world of unpublished books. We'll just keep it at that. So I have none on my list because I like used books that are obviously already published. Next question: a book on your TBR that basically everyone's read but you. So as I've been talking about, I love Civil War, and there's a couple series of books that everybody's read but me, and everybody likes to let me know it. And so I'll just move my head to the side. Shelby Foote's Civil War trilogy, that's one. I just recently got those, by the way. Those are going to be read here in the near future. So that is one that everyone's read but me, and I always feel silly when they ask in the comments, have you read Shelby Foote? And I'm like, no. So next question: a book on your TBR that everyone recommends to you. So in that same light, when we were doing talking a lot about the Civil War, especially I did a Civil War tag, books on the Civil War tag, and I'll leave the link to that down below. But everyone recommended Alan Nevin's Civil War series. There's 8 books in the series. He's got one that's on the antebellum period, one that's all about Lincoln, and then another series that's all about the Civil War. And for a total of 8 books, I want them. I want them very badly. They were on my buying list, but I have made more of a point to pay attention to them, and so I've been looking on, you know, Amazon and eBay and stuff like that, trying to find them. And to get the whole series, they're kind of expensive. So I'm thinking maybe around Christmas time, my birthday or Christmas time, I can maybe pick those up and have those in my collection. And next question, a book on your TBR that you're dying to read. Oh, there are a lot of them, and I don't even know if I can pick one. I think maybe the Witches by Stacy Schiff, which I'm going to be reading I think soon. That might be one of them that I would say I'd like to read a lot. I've wanted to read it because I've never read a book on the witch trials, and we teach it at school, and the kids are always kind of fascinated with it, and we do a DBQ assignment with it, and the kids are always interested in that. And so I'm looking forward to reading that so I can get some more knowledge in the area. And last prompt, how many books are on your TBR shelf? So right now, because of between the history reading challenge and my 2020 TBR list, if you combine those, I've got about 15 on my immediate list. And but if you look at my big list, I've got over 1,100 of them. I've got a lot of reading to do. Like I said, I don't buy them just to look at them. I buy them to read them. So everything that anything you see on my shelves behind me, those are part of my TBR list. I eventually will get to them. Now the order and how long it takes me, that's a whole nother video. But anyway, this has been Tag Tuesday. Again, I saw this on the TBR tag on Emma at a couple books. I'll leave the link to her channel down below, and I think the original was done by Rachel at Perfection Called Books. But I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you stuck with me. And BookTube, you have a great Tag Tuesday. See you later. Happy reading.